But in our year-long investigation, Special Assignment has learned that the National Program Office, the hidden bureaucracy that manages the most secret parts of these continuity of government plans, has created another top-secret succession plan which is completely unknown to the people of the United States and known to only a few in government. To guarantee continuity of government in the event of nuclear war, this plan expands the list of presidential successors. Multiple sources have told CNN that in certain narrowly defined circumstances, an individual not in the legal line of succession or even in government could become president, despite the fact that the American people have had no role in selecting that person. The hidden government plan is the result of 4 decades of nuclear escalation. 4 decades of threat and counter-threat. In the 1980s, continuity of government planners were haunted by a grim possibility. A nuclear wartime scenario called decapitation. A surprise nuclear strike on Washington that kills most of the country's leaders. Chopping the head off the government, leaving no one prepared to take over the presidency. To reduce the possibility of decapitation, the National Program Office was directed to create a new program to assure the continuity of government. It was known as the Presidential Successor Support System, or PS Cubed. The NPO specifically designed the new Presidential Successor Program to ensure that there will be enough experienced leaders ready to take over key jobs in the executive branch after a nuclear war.
Roger.
So additional successors, beyond those provided for by the Constitution and by U.S. laws, were added to the list of potential presidents. The Presidential Successor Support System's rationale, that to protect the United States' unique constitutional form of government from the ultimate threat, it is necessary to have this alternate system of succession. But ironically, the new system, as it is now operating, could dramatically alter the established rules of succession.
The program itself would suspend that natural succession, and these individuals would have the right to virtually appoint a new government.
Ralph is a source who knows the details of much of the NPO's succession plans. He and our other sources knowledgeable about the NPO, like Bob, would talk on camera only if their names, faces, and voices were changed.
In some cases, it may be necessary to even go outside of the active current government to bring in that expertise in a period of crisis.
So in the event of nuclear war, it's hypothetically possible that someone who's outside of government could become a cabinet officer, vice president, or even president?
Hypothetically speaking, it could happen anywhere in the chain of government. Yes, it most certainly could.
The Presidential Successor Support System, a secret government in waiting if a nuclear war comes. CNN's Special Assignment has learned the names of a number of former government officials whose sources tell us have, at one time or another, been part of the NPO's PS Cube program. In the event of disaster, one of them could become president. Howard Baker, the former senator and White House chief of staff, never before in the line of succession. Richard Helms, the former director of the CIA, never before in the line of succession. Jeane Kirkpatrick, the former ambassador to the United Nations, never before in the line of succession until called on by the NPO. Former Secretary of Defense James Schlesinger, in the line of succession, but before the NPO was set up. Dick Cheney, Edwin Meese, Tip O'Neill, and Dick Thornburgh all have been in the line of succession by virtue of their offices, but our sources say the NPO gave them additional responsibilities under the new system. None of these officials would talk to us on the record about their role in the NPO's plans, but some program insiders defend the alternate plan of succession.
Remember, we're talking about the final circumstances. I don't think there would be any option to that. How can we predict who will survive? Can't be done. So we have to go on the premise that we have enough alternates, knowledgeable people, in enough locations to do the job.
On the other side of the debate, critics say that the hidden government plan is so extreme that, ironically, it violates the very Constitution it is designed to protect. One high-level government official familiar with the plans told us, when you compare this plan with the Constitution, the two don't match up. This same official says the plan could put the American system of checks and balances in the deep freeze. Directly or indirectly, the checks and balances between Congress and the White House, in fact, all the laws of the United States, are based on the U.S. Constitution. Today, constitutional scholars and students of nuclear war debate whether a document written more than 100 years before the existence of electricity can address the new scientific and technical realities.
Is there such a tension between the rapidity of a nuclear war, between the fact that a nuclear war could happen in 30 minutes, and the way in which our government is structured and our Constitution is written, that makes the two at odds forever?
William Arkin is a leading authority on nuclear command and control issues, as well as continuity of government, COG programs.
And what I've come to discover in looking at the COG program is that the tension cannot be resolved, that as long as we have nuclear weapons, we're going to have to fudge on the Constitution.
Professor William Van Alstyne, a leading constitutional scholar, says the need for designated leadership in a post-nuclear world must be acknowledged.
We're now talking about a situation where the Presidential Succession Act itself proves to provide too short a list.
Message follows. Tango 6-3.
It is the secrecy of the NPO's new succession plans which makes it vulnerable and unworkable, says Van Alstyne. Because if one of the alternate successors outside of government did become president, no one would believe it.
Obviously, what's wrong with it is that if no one knows in advance what the line of succession is meant to be, then almost by hypothesis, no one will have any reason to believe that those who claim to be exercising that authority, in fact, possess it.
Today, the rush of history is making the likelihood of the Doomsday Plan ever being activated, and the likelihood of the alternate successors becoming president more remote. The Great Cold War struggle is finally ended, and the future of Earth seems safer. But planning for the unexpected continues as new fears replace the old. Fears of nuclear proliferation, of terrorists obtaining the bomb, of continuing instability in the Soviet Union. All are reasons why programs like those run by the National Program Office will continue, and continue to try and hide their activities behind a veil of secrecy.